X2Go.
And we have a visitor. Vadim is back. Good evening, Vadim.
Hey ho!
Hello, how's it going?
Hello.
Well, we're
We've had
slower
a,
than we want to be.
yeah, we've had a few technical issues, but now the stream should be running.
Yuri, log ADM at codex2go.org. Should have access.
Welche Benutzer?
Log ADM.
Log ADM, okay. Danke.
YouTube link, save. And here we go, I guess. So, welcome to Friday's edition of X2Go The Spread 2023. In our first talk of the evening, we'll take a look at how to set up and use published applications in X2Go. Now, the first question that comes to mind is, do I even need published applications when I already have a full remote desktop at my disposal? Well, the fact is, the question that you should be asking yourself is the exact opposite. Do I need a full remote desktop? And most of the time, the answer will actually be no, unless your client computer is a thin client. And even some thin clients don't need a full remote desktop. Think of our X2Go Marty Mini desktop solution, for example. So the rule of thumb is, if you already have a local desktop with a local taskbar, then you're likely going to do fine without a full remote desktop. Now, let's take a quick look at the pros and cons of using published applications. The first pro is that there's obviously no desktop environment involved, so you don't have to worry about choosing a suitable one that's compatible with an Eclipse. Think how GNOME 3 suddenly stopped working for us, which led to the development of X2Go K-Drive. And second, as only the applications will be using RAM and CPU cycles on the server and not a full desktop per user, it will be less taxing on the server. Third, and this is quite an underrated feature, you can set up a connection to localhost, start your applications as published applications, and resume them later from a different machine without a noticeable loss in speed. So they will behave almost as if you were running them in a regular X2Go NX full desktop session. On the other hand, if you started all your applications locally and wanted to resume them later on from a remote machine, you would have to resort to using X2Go's screen sharing feature, which is a lot slower than X2Go's usual remote desktop experience. Now, of course, there are also some cons to using published applications. One is that screen updates may take a little longer than with a full remote desktop. This has to do with how these windows are being overlaid on your screen and how they interact with local windows and the local desktop background. However, they will still be almost as fast as a regular X2Go NX desktop session, and absolutely way faster than screen sharing or VNC. The other is that our new protocol, X2Go K-Drive, is still lacking support for published applications. So if you want to use published applications, you're stuck with X2Go NX, unless you're willing to sponsor further X2Go K-Drive development. To make the most out of X2Go's published applications, there are a few global configuration options that you should set. So go to Options, Settings, General, and check the box that says Display Icon and System Tray. After that, 4 previously grayed out checkboxes become available. Preferably, you should check all 4 of them. The important one, however, is the third one from the top that reads Hide to System Tray after connection is established. One thing that you might want to do if you have many different X2Go sessions configured, and especially if you run several instances of X2Go client in parallel, is assigning a different icon to each session. Icons can be in PNG, XPM, and JPEG format. Of course, you can also use this for branding X2Go client to match your corporate identity. Side note, you can even brand the entire X2Go client, as well as X2Go TCE's boot screen and screensaver, but that's a topic for another day. So once you've made the adjustments we've just discussed, X2Go client will hide itself in the notification area, colloquially known as a system tray or sys-tray, as soon as the connection starts. During session startup, you will see the generic accelerated X logo. Then, once the connection has been established, it will change either to the baby seal logo or to the custom logo that you assigned to the session if you did so. And as soon as you right-click the logo in the notification area and hover over the name of your session, Orca in our example here, you will be greeted by an additional start menu, which lists all applications that are available on the X2Go server, just as if you had clicked the start button in a remote desktop session. And this is what it looks like once you start an application from the X2Go start menu. At first glance, there's no way to distinguish local and remote applications. They are all running in front of your local desktop. You will only notice the difference when you access directories and printers. Remote applications will obviously show the server's file system and printers in their Open Save and Print dialog boxes. This feature is not limited to Linux clients. As you can see here, it also works on Windows and obviously on macOS as well. There are ways to tweak and extend the X2Go start menu in several ways. In its default setting, X2Go server will display all applications that are available to the users in their respective start menus on the server, as if they were logged in locally or as if they were running a full remote desktop session. This is because the folder etc X2Go applications is actually a symlink to user share applications. And you can manually replace this symlink with an actual folder or a symlink to a different folder to limit application accessibility or to add additional applications. Just add your desktop files to that folder. Users can also add their own additional applications by creating a folder .x2go/applications in their home directory and placing the corresponding desktop files there. You can see a sample myapp.desktop file in the blue box on the lower right, and the category under which an application is displayed is determined by the entries in the categories field. For example, X2Go client uses Qt, KDE, Network, and thus will show up in Network, while LibreOffice Writer is listed as Office Word Processor and will end up in Office. If you manually set the categories entry to X2Go-top, then this will make your application appear in the topmost level of the X2Go start menu. This is a real time saver for applications that your users need to use a lot. So on the left, you can now see a screenshot of such a pimped application showing up in the X2Go start menu. The blue box on the lower right once again shows the actual content of the desktop file I used. And the only difference to the one on the previous slide is the icon name, which I now set to one that really exists, namely the X2Go client icon. That's why it's displayed with that icon in front of it. Of course, any icon that's available on the server can be assigned to your app, and an invalid or missing icon file will still cause the application to show up, by the way. It will just lack the icon. So once again, thank you for your time. To all of you watching us via YouTube, remember to return to the wiki page once the stream stops, as the address will change for the second and third talk, as well as for the official goodbye later on. And I'm now ready to answer any questions you may have and take feedback from you. No questions, it seems. Well, in that case, I will stop the stream and take care of my pet momentarily, and we'll be back soon with the second talk of the evening.